Alright. What's up, everybody, and welcome back. The Battle Aces devs lost a lot of goodwill last weekend, and at the end of last week with the start of their second beta, but they are now on the redemption path. And this is something I was expecting because the devs have historically been very quick to listen to certain complaints. First of all, they came back and said, look, we're going to unlock all of the units. You play one game, you get 21,600 war credits. You can unlock every unit. Small oversight, I pointed out after this post came out, that actually doesn't allow you to unlock the units on the season pass. The knight, which you get very easily, but then the crossbow, which takes a lot longer. And they said, ooh, that's an oversight from us. We're going to also, in our upcoming balance patch, make that unlockable as well. So everything other than that, though, you now get after one game, which is great because, as you guys saw, if you didn't see my video, we did a whole video talking about how essentially it felt like, for me and a lot of the community, the developers, with the different progression and monetization methods they were testing out, was gating the fun of the game behind a very boring grind. And I think they've really made a good approach where they've kind of said, hey, we were realizing we were looking at the progression kind of like a single unit is almost like a League of Legends character. And we realized it's not a League of Legends character. A whole deck is more like a League of Legends character when it comes to unlocking. So, you know, 8 units that make a deck is kind of more what we should have been doing for what instead we were doing for a single unit unlock, which obviously was just taking way too long and it was making too hard to experiment and really experience the full game. So they've made all the units unlocked. That's now come out, I think yesterday is when that unlocked. I've been playing games, having way more fun on the ladder. Feels a lot more fair now. Before I felt really bad and icky using a streamer account with everything unlocked. So that was awesome. Now they've also got a big balance patch as well. So we've got kind of big news on all fronts. This one's going to come out on Friday. That's Saturday for me in Australia. And there's a good chance we might be able to get David on for an interview later on that day as well to talk about the balance patch, the monetization drama, and just everything else that they've got planned for Battle Aces. So first things first, guys, let's just read through the big balance changes and see what goes on. First of all, they want to make the knight have a slight increase in effectiveness. Tier 1 units are always a bit tricky, so we'd like to try increase this health from 22,000 to 2,200 and see where it goes. Okay, so they just want to make the knight a little bit better. I don't think the knight's bad. Obviously, it falls off really hard when there's anti-big damage comes out, and that's the big problem with the knight and the crossbow, but I think they're not terrible. There's just some very powerful anti-big damage dealers right now, which give them these like very drastic fall-off moments. Gargantua, we wanted to try a general increase in effectiveness and an increase in effectiveness against air units in general. They'll still get countered by anti-big units. We want to increase the damage from 400 to 500, deals the same damage versus both ground and air units now. Okay, I guess it used to do less versus air. We don't really know what this changes because no one knows what the numbers are because you guys haven't told us. I know I've spoken to the devs and I've said, can you show us the stats? And they said, oh, we're talking about that internally and we think we probably will have full stats in the next version of the game, but it's not going to be ready for this patch. Still, I don't know. I'm just going to keep ranting about it just to make sure they don't forget. We need those stats. Apparently, it was doing less damage versus air than ground, and now that's fixed. Plus, it gets a general 25% damage increase as well, which is great. Valkyries. We always wanted to try Valkyries being really end-all versus air that needs ground... What? That needs ground anti-air to counter? Sorry. We wanted to try the Valkyries being an end-all versus air that really... Okay, I don't like this last part of it because the point is that their damage is meant to suck versus ground, but they're basically saying we just want it to be more dominant in the skies. So we want to change our damage multiplier against air units, increase from 5.166 to 11 times. They're literally doubling the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie was already good versus air. They want to make it dominate air. That's interesting. Now, it doesn't do great versus ground damage. I mean, they're saying you need ground anti-air. I just think this needs... Yeah, technically you need something on the ground to shoot them, but the Valkyrie is really bad versus ground. So it's not like it's a high priority thing. It's just it controls the skies, and it has a little bit of damage it can add versus ground. So this last line just makes that a little bit confusing in the way it's written, but I get it. It's even more dominant in the skies now. Apparently they'd nerfed it a little bit. To be not as good. So this is going to bring back some of its former strength, I guess. They want it to smash the Kraken, smash other air units, that sort of thing. 2v2 already had some Valkyrie stalemates in the last version of the game, which is what worries me about that. Alright guys, due to the changes with various changes in all three tiers on how the anti-air units work, There's a lot more ways to deal with the Falcon. Yeah, the Falcon is garbage at the moment. We want to try a general increase in effectiveness of the Falcon, see where it goes. They want to increase health 2,900 to 3,300. I honestly don't know if that's enough. To me, the Falcon feels so useless right now. So I am very keen to see, does 400 hit points make enough of a difference? It's a step in the right direction for sure. Advanced Blink. Because this unit's role is very specific to anti-big and it's really bad versus all small, including tier 1, we'd like to try pushing their effectiveness first big even further. What are these numbers? What are these numbers, chat? Damage multiplier against big units increased from 15 to 20 times? What? How bad are these versus regular units? Okay, don't get me wrong. I have videos on my YouTube channel, my Battle Aces YouTube, of when we all figured out back in a previous version that the Advanced Blink was kind of broken because it did everything. And we would just rush Advanced Blinks. And I remember that was the last time I beat Parting was in that meta, because people were so convinced that it would you just rushed it on 2-base and beat anything with it. So obviously they're trying to give it more of a role. This just seems crazy. A 20 times, there's a voice in my head shouting without even seeing the numbers. There's no way a unit is interesting or good if it has a 20 times multiplier. Right? Like there's no way that's an interesting... the argument here is that you blink in and you just kill stuff, right? You just blink in and just shoot stuff. Now, it is itself a big unit as well, so it does get destroyed by other anti-big units. So Advanced Blinks versus Advanced Blinks will one-shot each other, I imagine, which is crazy. I mean, I guess it's basically a blink destroyer at this point. It does have an anti-air attack as well, so it can blink and kill big air units as well. That's fast. I mean, it must be just absolutely useless versus non-big units, though. What an odd and interesting way to do things. I mean, I feel like previously tier 3 units have been not fitting into this counter role. So let me explain this, guys. I would say this explains the devs basically trying to really be obsessed with their square. For those who don't know, we got small beats anti-big, anti-big beats big, big beats splash, splash beats small. Okay, that's pretty relatively intuitive, sure. Previously, though, because your tier 3 unit slots are so rare, right? You only get 2 tier 3 unit slots. Those units were often a bit more generalistic for many of them. Not all of them, but things like Advanced Blink, Assault Bots, they were reasonably, generalistic. And now they're trying to make them more like, oh no, the Assault Bot is now an anti-big unit. And I was like, oh, really? The Advanced Blink is an anti-big unit? And they're really leaning into the counter system. They don't want it to be, oh no, you made it to tier 3 and you just have a better general version of the gun bot, right? Because this used to just be a better gun bot. It cost the same and it just had better stats. Now they're like, no. Everything has more specific use cases. It's not just you made it to tier 3, you have more efficient units. It's this unit excels at this thing. And that's, I don't know if that's good or bad. It's different, is what I would say. It's different. So this is really interesting, this whole direction they've taken it. I struggle to fully process these patch changes because they're telling us patch changes, but we don't know the stats of any of the units at all. We can look at the last time in the spreadsheet that the data got scraped. Look at me, I'm turning so American. Data. We say data in Australia, guys. Data. I think we're the only country that says that. If we look at the Falcon in this, it had 2,900. So, okay, so a lot of these stats are up to date. I just don't know which ones are and which ones aren't. So, yeah, 2,900 up to 3,400 is nice, but I'm just like, I don't know the context of these stats. So it's a little hard for me to have info on this until they allow us to scrape the information again, until they give us just stats sheet posted on their website. It doesn't need to be in the game. Like, just tell us what the stats are so we can actually interpret these stats. Right now, I would have a lot more insight and analysis on these changes if I knew what they were being changed from. But nobody in the world knows what these are being changed from except the devs right now, and that sucks. Predator. We want to try Predators to be slightly faster moving due to most small air units. They're trying to counter fast in movement and have the air advantage. Oh, okay, so basically, you're like, I've got Predator to counter Locust, and the Locust are just zipping around, killing all your stuff, and your Predator's never in the right spot. This way you can kind of catch up a little bit better. It's not a huge movement speed increase. Fair call. Scorpion, we'd like to try increasing their effectiveness slightly, up from 1,300 to 1,350. I think that the Scorpion got nerfed a bit too hard to where crabs are just objectively better than them, I believe people are saying at the moment. I haven't seen too much Scorpion in high-level play. So that's not a bad little change there as well. Cool. I mean, this is cool. They're adjusting some things. They're leaning into the numbers to really make the counters super hard counters. And, you know, as crazy as these numbers are, these are kind of like Age of Empires 2, right? Like these units are kind of like spearmen. Like you guys, like what's a spearman do in AoE 2, guys? Is it 4 damage flat? And it does like 16 versus like a scout, or plus 16 or something like that. And then you upgrade it to a pikeman, it's like plus 32. Halberdiers like plus 40 or something ridiculous versus once you get to Imperial. It's crazy numbers like that. And I love that game. I think that actually like gives that unit a very specific role. Now, not many units have those massive counter multipliers or counter damage additions, but a few units do in Age of Empires 2. And I think that system works quite well. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. Overall, guys, I think this is more a video not about deep analysis. It's me saying, hey, give us those numbers, devs, but you're doing the right thing. You're letting us all play the game, which is great. I think the perception of your game and the excitement and the word of mouth is the biggest thing. And I just want to iterate. For those who didn't watch my video on that last, go watch it. What was I saying? What was the biggest thing that I said in that video? It was, this is a free-to-play game. And like all games, it's all about perception and getting people excited. And your best marketing is your viral word-of-mouth marketing from hardcore nerds. If they're the ones who are talking about it when people Google things and look at forums and word-of-mouth spreads from them to games journalists and to other people, casuals and all of our real-life friends, that's how you get a big kind of bit of momentum going for your game. And previously, in the first version of the game, it was only in the final week of 5 weeks of beta where they unlocked those units. And that was a big problem because most people hopped on, and if they weren't willing to grind, they stopped playing without getting to the fun part of the game. This time there was 3-4 days of the beta, maybe 5, where that was a problem. They fixed that now, which is a massive change. And I feel like for the first time ever, I'm going to be telling all of my casual friends, hop on, play the game. It's constantly getting patched. Even though it's just a beta, it's only lasting for 2 weeks or whatever, get in, you get to try all the units and have fun trying all these different unit types. We're already seeing pro players experiment a ton, struggling to figure things out and figure out what's best. And I feel like this is the right way to do it. You can absolutely have a progression system in there. You can have unlock systems, but it's got to be way friendlier than what has been done in the last 2 ones. You know, probably I think the highest amount they could do is maybe 20%. Of the restriction that they had in this one. Probably 15%, 10%'s a better way of doing it. So increase that speed of unlocks by 80, 90%, and people are going to be fine with it, especially if the early unlocks, so you can get like a full deck plus some alternate units you can sub in and out. The earlier you give that to people, the more fun the game is, especially if you're sticking to the current design philosophy, which I really dislike. The other thing that I'm still very critical of the devs for, and they have made no mention of budging on, is having units that are so bad that it's almost sad that an artist developed like this graphics and that you made voice lines for this unit. Because like, why do we even have voice lines in a graphic for this unit? Because it doesn't exist, right? This unit is the unit that you get to play with, realize it's bad, and then feel good when you unlock an actual good unit in that slot. I just think it's too accentuated that it's bad. It's okay to have power levels with units that you're unlocking early on to give you that satisfaction. I don't like that it loses to literally everything. There's nothing it beats. Even small units that Splash is meant to counter, the Ballista does not beat. It is a worthless unit and its stats suck. So I'd like us to make it a bit better so it's still worse than the other units, but not worthless. And I think you could probably say the same for the Hunter as well, right? The Hunter, I haven't looked at its up-to-date stats, but I really don't like that the Hunter feels garbage as well. I don't know if there's any other units. I think it's mostly those two that are kind of the poo-poo units that don't feel good at all. You guys let me know if there's any other units that you guys think. The Crab is actually good. I thought the Crab was really bad. I do think the Beetle could use some love, though I don't think they're really giving the Beetle as a free unit. The Beetle could probably just use a bit of love because no one's really using it. But the Crab is legit now. So I like that the Crab is legit because the Crab didn't feel good in the previous versions of the game. Maybe we're just figuring out how to play the game better. The fact that the Crab actually feels good now, especially after watching Boanon play, I'm really happy with it. I'm like, oh, that's friggin' awesome, man. It's also the most adorable unit that does weird little K-pop dances and stuff. So, hey, it is what it is. Anyway, hope you guys are as excited for Battle Aces and the rest of this beta as I am. It's not a very long beta. I'm not sure exactly when it finishes, but I think it's like a week and a half away, something like that. So get in there, play some games with me, and let's have some fun. See you next time. Goodbye and good night.